Okay, I think we had a fantastic talk from Pranav. I think I think it possibly took me time to capture each and everything, but a lot of, I would say, financial understanding from very broad perspectives, and I think a lot of good inputs that one could do it. Before I start, just want to get a sense of, uh, I think for myself as well, just by show of hands, if you can just tell me the audience composition, so I just don't blabber too much where not required. How many of you are a Thai Bangalore members? Fantastic. How many of you are investors? Gosh, we should have gotten some in the room. We should have gotten some investors in the room because we have to excite them about what we do. How many of you are entrepreneurs? That's 90% of composition. That's good to know. How many of you are from government setup? Okay. And how many are non-entrepreneurs but from industry? Okay, good. Thank you. I got at least some gist of whom I'm talking to. Fantastic. We are definitely late. I'm also late. So we will keep in time, please, but happy to take questions if there are any. What I'm going to talk about is largely to friends, to you, is about, I think it's 13 minutes being shown now. So we'll try to go quick, but I think a glimpse of kind of efforts which are happening in healthcare innovations. And since many of you are entrepreneurs, you definitely would know this already. So I hope I'm able to still do justice of what would you be doing in terms of with your planning and discussion. Okay, so I want to talk to you about some of the exciting work that is happening in India about building deep science innovations and where are those going in terms of it. And I want to bring a perspective from the organization that I work for, that is CCAM, and what is that and how, like you entrepreneurs and industry people and Thai members could actually benefit out of it, because it's a public funded setup. It's completely a public funded setup and something that you should leverage on what we are doing and how others are leveraging and possibly has built capabilities. So just to give a very quick perspective, CCAMP, as I mentioned, is supported by Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, way back in 2009. And the vision was simply be a catalyst or an enabler of deep science research and innovation. How do you want to be kind of on a soccer field? How you are a midfield player, which works with both defense as well as with forwards and enables the movement of science to the next level. So we work with very large number of organizations and ensure that we can actually play a part in terms of taking the science further. So we foster deep science innovations, drive high impact research, and translate and commercialize some of these technologies broadly. This is India's largest life science campus in terms of pure life science campus. That is Bangalore Life Science Cluster that we are part of. You have 4 organizations here. It started when NCBS came here. It's in North Bangalore, so you should leverage it. Now in addition to NCBS, which is absolutely a phenomenal world-class center for really deep science work, we have INSTEM, which is only federally funded stem cell research institute. We have TIGS, which is Tata Trust funded organization for using gene editing, $70 million contribution by Tata Trust to set this organization up. And we have CCAM, which actually is an enabler organization. So 4 of us together form the Bangalore Life Science Cluster with nearly 2,000 people now and possibly world-class capabilities which one could actually leverage. And this has happened over time. This has happened overnight. At CCAM, what we do, of course, we catalyze research, we catalyze technologies, research-based technologies, and also innovations. I'll not go into much, but something that only that would possibly help. High-end technology platforms that we have that all entrepreneurs in the field and all researchers in academia and everyone in the industry get to use it. These are the capabilities which are. This is nearly $200 million of capabilities which are there, and you've got to leverage it if you're actually doing R&D here. There are people who are on top of it, who are one of its kind in India, actually the top of experts in the imaging, experts in the flow cytometry, experts in mass spectrometry, experts in high throughput screening, cryo-EM, and you name it. These people actually can take your science to the next level. You have to engage, you should leverage, and it's open. You can just write an email and you can get a response and to go from there. And we do have very good turnaround in terms of time as well for you to do it. So please do leverage, because nearly across India, I would say, so these are the different capabilities, but this has nearly done now 6,000 projects overall. So many people who have actually been able to come and use it, this is across India that they will be able to come and use these capabilities. So it's not only Bangalore, people across India, and now internationally people have been able to come and leverage that. So that is enabling your science in the wherever you are building those capabilities. I'm just jumping onto, so this is one of the vertical. I'm not going into second vertical at all today, that is translation. I'm jumping on the third vertical, that is innovation and entrepreneurship, and what's happening. So overall, I think the idea for us to, when we started the innovation entrepreneurship activity in 2013, idea was to continue to support deep science work or breakthrough ideas. How can we attract talent which has a very ambitious idea, and how we can support them and handhold them and take care of them. So over time, not on that day, over time we have built capability to invest in them, and we have 13 different programs running, and any point of time in the year, we have 2 or 3 open calls going on with different partners, both national, international, from US, UK, Denmark, India, state. We have several programs. As we speak, we have several programs going. So we have funding capability that goes on. We have high-end labs for you to use if you need to, and then very importantly, hand-holding capability. What kind of work has enabled this? So there is healthcare, different components of healthcare that we can talk about today. All subsectors have been kind of built in, agriculture and environment. More or less, each of these subsector, we have more than 100 companies. And that is very, very important. We have nearly 100 companies now. What we are talking about is scale, because one company is not going to make a superstar. I think if people are talking about India, or today people now talk about China, it's not because they have 1 or 2 companies. They have hundreds and hundreds of companies in field. And that is actually making them, because one company is not going to make actually any tectonic shift is not going to happen through that. And that is very, very important. That's what we have achieved over time now. We have 600 companies that we have invested in over time. And several of those are not here. So sorry about the logos which couldn't come in one slide. Idea was to represent that it's a very dense environment. But this is a representation in numbers that has happened. We have, over time, we have invested nearly $14 million in nearly 600 companies. They have gone and raised nearly $600 million at the valuation of $1.6 billion now. And we are all at the inflection points, because many of our companies are now at the phase 2, phase 1, phase 3 of many of the drugs. So we are hoping there'll be inflection point in terms of valuation and their raising capability. So this is a phenomenal economic impact that has happened. But at the same time, sorry, but we have now 100 products in the market. So this is now not only selling promise, this is reality, where we have products in 19 states of India in healthcare. So 19 states of India has healthcare products which we have actually deployed now in the states, out of nearly 30 states that have that. And of course, this leads to how many lives we have impacted. Which are the companies that actually have done well? Just to give a representation of the Economic Times Startup Awards, which was just announced last week. So there is something called the Innovator of India, or the Innovator of the Year, that they do across all sectors. We are very, very lucky to have companies which actually 7 out of 8 years, we have had the honor to actually have CCAM companies actually getting the Best Innovator of the Year across all sectors. And that is a remarkable feature when you have companies which are getting limelight for several things, including robotics, space, you talk about many other things. These are the companies which are actually getting to the Best Innovator Award, and that's very, very important. What do these companies do? And many of you know about it. Bugworks, despite the global challenge of antimicrobial resistance, which we all know about, I don't want to repeat that, but this is world's most advanced company in bringing broad spectrum antibiotic to the world, not to India. This is world's most advanced company, because there is no other company which is as advanced in bringing a chemical or a drug which can actually take care of any kind of bacterial infection. And this is remarkable science that has happened from here. It has been funded $50 million, not 1, 2, and 95% of that funding has come from global. 5% has come from India. That is good, because India gave the first seed funding, and the world actually leveraged it, and including partnership with CARB-X, WHO, and so on there. They are treated as the startup had an opportunity to go to UN General Assembly and talk about how innovations are needed in AMR. That's kind of the standing and positioning that they can. That is a kind of a representation of what we talk about from a deep science innovations. If I may jump, iSTEM is addressing something using cell therapy for what you would call as vision disorders, including the first thing is in dry AMD, dry age-related macular degeneration, while the Novartis drug for that is $500 million NI, which can be $1 million for anybody who has this, which is nearly 200 million people across the world. Look at the market. They have now data using cell therapy where they can implant retinal pigment epithelial cells in subretinal injection. Phase 1 is done, and they have best data in the class right now, even better than the Lineage company from Roche, where they have demonstrated that there is a recovery in the vision in the legally blind people for 15 letters. That is what you call as a deep science that's coming out of India, and that's really remarkable. Very, very important. They are going into phase 2. They just closed their oversubscribed round of 10 million possibly 10 days back. And that is really, really, really good. If you come to now BrainSight AI, a phenomenal work in building connectomics in the brain so that eventually people can understand from fMRI data and CT scan data in terms of connectome for surgeons and many other things. This is one of the most advanced work, top 3 companies in the world which actually is building some solution in that space and something that they are building all together. The last one, the Cure.ai that I want to talk about, and we'll go to String after that. Cure.ai is the recent already, but one of the most happening company in terms of health tech, where they are using algorithms to ensure that the diagnostics can be done. They are now a formal, actually a service provider to NHS, that is UK. They are also now present in US and many other countries. This is where the capability can actually go from all the way when you actually build a phenomenal company. They are spreading business at a very large level. String Bio is a company which is using, of course, synthetic biology to treat climate, which is outside Health Summit today, but one of the most exciting company, again, in terms of how you actually do the carbon capture using synthetic biology and build downstream products. They are possibly evaluating around 150. CCAM has had the ability on other companies. We have now more than nearly 12 to 15 companies which are evaluating more than $100 million. And that has happened overnight. They are actually evaluating that, something that what just now Pranav talked about is they are actually at the curve where the inflection will come now. They have been able to get the valuation, they have been able to raise funds. They're the inflection where hopefully they'll be able to go to the next level. And this is really, really exciting work overall that has happened. At the same time, of course, a lot of work has happened in the space. Well, World Economic Forum, we have multiple companies which have now been acknowledged and catalyzed by. There are several global awards which have come to companies like Loopworm, Dozy, Inexcel, and Nemugar. Inexcel's story I didn't tell you, but one of the most impactful story in terms of building innovation from India, which can save lives. Anybody who is interested in the maternal neonatal health space, I will be very happy to talk about. The time is not on our side, but we have data where they are saving everyday neonates in our own hospitals, which were otherwise dying because we didn't have a local solution for a very easy solution called neonatal CPAP. And it's phenomenal work that they have done. So innovations can be done for 2 reasons, to make money and also have a social impact. I think many of these companies are actually doing that. Health allows us to do that. Some of the center of excellences we have built just for you to get a sense of it. We have agriculture, AMR, digital health, diagnostics, biologics. So to give you a perspective of companies, I'll skip it. We have in infectious disease and AMR, we have a global partnership with Carbex. We have partnership with ICARS, Gamref, which is allowing us to put nearly, we are thinking of nearly, we'll put nearly 200 to 250 crores in AMR in next 3 years. That is from CCAM, investment in AMR. And that is something we are really hoping we can take it to the next level. Of course, at the same level, digital health, something that Pranav talked about, is going to be very interesting opportunity how people will look at it. And we have now AI-discovered drugs being, India's first AI-discovered drug licensed 2 months ago by Peptris, which is right here, for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is uncurable disease as of now. So we are on the path of actually using AI for that, and there are many of them. Of course, time is not our side. The digital health can be used for screening phenomenally, diagnostics, and therapeutics as well. If I may just quickly move, of course, we have a phenomenal portfolio for oncology, which has diagnostics and therapeutics, including clinical trials right now in the USA. So it's really very good work, including the immune, NK cells, checkpoints, and many other work is happening in the clinical trials. This is not an early work. This is a late stage work, which we hope will come into play. Very strong group. Now it's emerging in neuronal and mental health, neurology and mental health. A strong products now we have in the market in maternal neonatal child health. This is really, really one of the strongest MNCH group I think I have seen globally, something that we want to put forward. We are also putting efforts in rare genetic diseases, which is very, very important because I think India, anything rare is still very large population, right? Because if you talk about it, it's a different simple thing. So we want to work on people who are affected by that and how do you actually look at it, early screening, diagnostics, and interventions overall. And of course, I think Pranav talked about demographic dividend. We are going to be the oldest nation in 20, 25 years because we'll also have a very thick old age population. Geriatrics will be very important so that we actually have solutions for geriatrics going forward. We can't be keeping quiet on that, and we have to build our own solutions for that. And of course, NCDs, we all know where we are going with NCD, with lifestyle disease and all. So we have a significant cohort of solutions which are being built here. This makes nearly those 600 invested companies that I talked about. I didn't talk about many. And we have global collaborations which are allowing us to ensure that these guys can get funding support, global collaborative components. This include at US, in France, UK, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, Israel, and many other countries. And this is really helpful because this actually opens many doors. These collaborations, which are possibly sometimes the president of the prime minister, sometimes president of the PSA, sometimes president of many other things, open the doors for us to take our innovations and talk about it because those are the soft doors that we need to open together. And these are the global collaborations we have done with Gamrif in the presence of the PSA, which we are supported for, with the Rockefeller Foundation and the Gates Foundation for Diagnostics, which is a national diagnostic capital, which we have put all together nearly $6.5 million already in it, and we are hoping to scale those up further. This has enabled phenomenal ecosystem. Only in Index, we have more than 200 companies, only for diagnostics, only in one program. And that is the power of actually what you call it as a critical mass of innovations work there. One thing is that we have to scale it up in terms of numbers, scale it up in terms of the infrastructure. But I think we can do much more as we go forward if we keep on at it. And I think the only way to do it is to ensure that to be bold and be ambitious. I think when we start possibly cutting the corners in our own vision, I think we lose it. A lot of people whom we funded on the first, they sounded crazy. Honestly, they sounded crazy. But some people had to believe those crazy guys, support them, and they are the ones who are evaluating more than 100, 150, and $200 million today. And that is very, very important. They will solve problems for globally.